Today we're going to put together the Landworks 20-ton log splitter. As you can see, the box has been out here for a couple months now, and I'm just now getting a chance to do it. So we're going to unpack everything and take it out of the box. First we're going to read the instructions. That is very important, the instructions. Wherever they are.
I'm going to be using different views of me looking at stuff, unpacking stuff, and doing things. So hopefully this will help everyone from different points of view and different levels.
Very well packed.
Okay, looking in the top of the box from a top view, like I said, it's very well packaged. The foam is really thick, and I've decided to keep it. It's going to come in handy, like if I have to kneel down or sit on something. That foam is really thick. It's very well packaged. Nothing's taped in. It's just kind of set in, but it's squeezed in by that thick foam. What I realized when unpacking, that if you lift straight up, things will come out easier, and you unpack things from that you reach from the top, you get those out first. You don't reach around them and pull out stuff from underneath. Like this reservoir, I should have took it out first, but I didn't. But things come out really easy. Very well packaged. Everything is well labeled except the instructions. There were none. I also could have positioned this box where I had access to it from all sides. Because here I leaned into it, and I think I almost fell into it one time, but yeah, I almost fell. And also, when you lay your work out, try to lay it out as you take the parts out, so the flow will go easier when you put things together. And maybe have a better work surface than just straight ground. That's the ram. And again, that's the transport handle. That's the stand. And that's another view of the actual piston and the ram itself. And the parts, nuts and bolts, are really well labeled. Try to lay them up in a row or next to each other where you don't have to search for them. And I think as you take things out, you lay them kind of in their own group together, or where they'll fit in when you assemble them. The flow will go easier, so you don't have to walk around searching for the wheel or searching for washers. I'm done with the box, so we'll just toss that. Okay, got everything laid out here as in the order of assembly, or close to it. I had to print out these instructions. They're pretty simple. Lots of pictures, pretty well organized. They weren't included in the box, Maybe they will be with yours, but with mine they were not. So I had to print them out, and we're going to get started. So I think we start with the wheels and the axles, and I'm just showing you here that the flat part goes to the inside of the axle, and we'll start from there and get it going. Alright, first we are now going to tire the frame. We're going to go ahead and make sure that the flat part of the tire goes toward the frame when you put it on the axle. And, don't put the other side, else it'll tire flop around, rub against the frame. So let's go ahead and
let's get started.
Refer to our instructions, of course, and I'm going to show you that the instructions are pretty good with the picture. It's pretty clear. So we're going to just, as long as the picture matches what you do, you should be okay. Let's go ahead and pick this frame up, and then we're going to test fit a tire. Different view. Flat side goes on toward the frame, and make sure you use these washers and cotter pins. Keep your tire in place, and cotter pin keeps it from falling off. Pretty much it. And also on the instructions, it shows a pretty clear picture of it. Of where it goes, what goes in first, what goes on second. There's no words, just pictures. So we're going to put on our washer, and the flat side of the tire will be next, and then we're going to go ahead and put on a cotter pin. Now we'll have a different view of me struggling with this cotter pin, but eventually it goes on.
Not cutting the video, I'm going to show people how I struggle with this cotter pin.
And this is kind of simple. Again, it's the other side of the frame. We're going to put the other tire on. We start with our washer, and of course double check to make sure I put on the flat side of the tire toward the inside of the frame, the axle. And we got a little struggle going on again with the cotter pin, but eventually we get her done. Now we set that assembly to the side, and we're going to start on the stand for the frame. And I do refer to the instructions and double check the picture and organize the parts and get out the ones that I'm supposed to get out. They are very well packaged and they are very well labeled, but you should double check the instructions and the packaging, because there was a mistake in the instructions, and I think I circled it, and you'll see it later on. But for now, it's just a couple bolts, a couple nuts, a couple bolts, the stand, and again, I refer to the instructions, and I insist that you should, because you could mix up some parts or some nuts or some bolts and end up having to pull something apart to change the bolts to get the right bolts, or use a bolt that is too short, or it's the wrong size, or you don't have enough of them. And that's how you found out. Then you got to go back and figure out, oh, where did I use that other bolt at, or which one did I use? Then when you get them side by side in your hand, you're like, well, what size is this one? Is this the 8mm by 1? Is this the 8mm by 1 1/4? So, but if you check the instructions, it'll tell you clearly what nuts and bolts that you need, and you pick up that package, double check the instructions again, open the package, and you can't go wrong. Like here, voila. There's no way you can go wrong. There was 2 of each, clearly labeled. I picked up 2 of each and installed them. And also, when you do install these, kind of hold the nuts and bolts at each end, so it won't spin around, and tighten them as much as you can, because once this thing starts running, some nuts and bolts will vibrate loose, some connections will vibrate loose. The hose connection that I did here, partially my fault, I probably didn't tighten it. It vibrated loose and sprayed fluid all over the place. And this is me, again, different view, tightening up the leg stand. And you want to tighten this good, because if that leg stand fails, it'll flop forward or backward if you got a log on it, and it could be a problem. So just make sure you tighten your nuts and bolts. Do a good job at it. And I use an impact on some of them, and that's what I would recommend if you have one. And it's worth going to get one. Okay, I'm going to take a minute to really talk about this connection here because you can get it kind of on the edge and that pressure will push that hose off. But what I did, I made sure that the hose was fully seated. I pushed it on that outlet as far as it would go until it bottomed out. And then I put on the hose clamp, but I did not tighten it as much as I should have, and I think my battery died or something, but anyways, it didn't show when I was using it that hose blew off, and there's a lot of pressure in that hose and that pump. When that hose blew off, fluid shot all over the place before I could shut it off. And also that fluid is flammable because it did smoke and puff a little fire, but it quickly went out. So now whenever I use it, I keep a bottle of water close, or a bucket of water close by. And I also made sure to retighten the hose clamps securely so that it wouldn't happen again. But I had a hose blowout and I had some loose bolts. The impact came in handy, and once you run it, you should go back and retighten all of your bolts. Not a lot of them, but you should go back and retighten all of them just to be sure. The next step will be the frame to the main beam assembly. Sounds deep, but it's not. It's just 4 bolts holding that main beam assembly and reservoir to the wheel frame or base. There's 4 holes, 4 nuts and bolts, and that will get it done. And like I said before, make sure you tighten it. After your first time running it, go back, tighten all your nuts and bolts again. I know I may overshow some stuff, and maybe some comments might say, hey, you're talking to me like I'm a 2-year-old. But, sometimes I need that. Some mechanics or people do things DIY and, just attach your Doom Flicker to your Plymouth Lodger and then tighten your bolts. And you're like, well, what's this? And where are the bolts at? Where do the bolts go? Where are the holes? And so it throws you off as if it's your first time. I mean, you just don't know. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but I'm the same way. First time I seen this thing, I didn't know where these bolts went and what holes they went into, and didn't have the instructions, and I struggled with it. But like I said, I got the instructions, and it's my first time putting one together, and I just want to make it easier for someone else to do the same thing, because you might have it and you might not know where the holes go or where the holes are or what bolt goes in there. So, but with this, you'll see it, and hopefully it'll help someone. And if it's below your level, then by all means, delete, skip, whatever. But it's for people who, it's their first time doing it and they want to do it right. They want to do it once. You don't want to get it and skip the instructions, breeze through it and come out and have parts left over or something don't work right, or your hose blows off like mine did. That's a big deal. Or the hose blows off and sprays fluid on the engine and the thing catches fire and it burns up something. And then it catches fire and sets off your gas tank. So, I mean, it's slight, remote, but it could happen. But if you can see this, watch this, learn from my mistake and not do it, then you'll have a better experience, and hopefully you'll enjoy this thing as much as I do, or did, or will. I just got it, just started with it, and I love it. It's working great, and I have a whole bunch of wood to split up, so it's going to come in very handy. It's going to save me a lot of work. It's a real work saver. We got our wheels installed to the bottom plate installed to the primary beam kit, the support arm connected to the primary beam kit. Now we're going to install the hydraulic cylinder to the primary beam kit. Here's that typo. The proper bolt should be M10 times 30, not the one they have listed in the instructions. I also removed the push pad from the cylinder because that facilitated getting better access to the 4 bolts or holes that lined up the cylinder with the primary beam kit. And this is just a top-down view of me taking this pad off of the hydraulic cylinder to give me better access to the 4 bolt holes to hold the hydraulic cylinder on the primary beam plate. The bolt is a hex head bolt, forgot the measurement, and the nut I put back on the bolt so that I wouldn't lose it. And that's a good habit to get into. If you take a nut and bolt off something, put the nut and bolt back together so that you won't lose one or the other. And also put them back in the holes they came out of. So when you do pick up something to put it back together, the nut, the bolt, and the piece are all together. And before you put it back on, just remove the nut, remove the bolt, put the piece on, put the nut and bolt back on, and don't have to worry about where did I put that bolt, or is this the right bolt, or where did this nut come from, or where this bolt came from. All your parts will be there. That's what I try to do to keep things kind of organized and to keep up with the parts. And especially working outside, if you drop a part, a nut, a bolt, a washer in the grass and it bounces around or it rolls off your foot and you can't see where it went, and now your whole project is at a standstill because you got to figure out which one did I lose, and you're hunting around for it in the grass or the dirt or a bunch of leaves like I got in my yard. Then if you don't find it, you got to get one like it or look into the instructions, and now you're going to Walmart, now you're going to Lowe's, now you're going to the hardware store. Hey, can you match this up? You have one like this. And so it can add like hours onto something that should only take you an hour. Then if the hardware person doesn't really match it up right, you get home with that bolt and you try to, twisting the bolt holes and the threads are different. And then you got to go back, or you got to find a bolt, if you have one, that matches the one that you lost. Now we're going to put the pad back on, and it's not going to be too tight. You're going to need an Allen wrench and either a wrench, opening or box end, or a deep well socket. The deep well socket, maybe a regular socket would work, but I use a deep well socket. Either one of those will work. I didn't tighten the pad where it was rigid. I wanted to flop a little bit, have some play in it, so that when I did push against a log and the log wasn't cut at a particular angle, that the pad could adjust a little bit. You have a little play in it to distribute the force evenly across the log to push it across the plate to get it cut or split. Now we're going to move on to a major part, the motor and the pump. We're going to place that onto the bottom plate, and you have 4 bolts and washers that are very well labeled in their own package, as most of them are. Most of the bolts and parts are in their own package, very well labeled. Just remove the bolts, set them to where they're easy to get to. Make sure you place your washers on the bolts and try to align the bolt holes or the motor holes with the bolt holes, and the bolts should screw in fairly easy. There shouldn't be much resistance. If you do encounter that resistance, don't force it. Bring the bolt back out, and should go in fairly easy, finger tight. Don't tighten all the bolts or any bolt until you get all 4 of them in and get them all finger tight. And then when you tighten them, make sure you tighten them really well, because like I said, when this thing starts, that vibration will eventually work bolts loose, and you don't want that motor and pump moving around, vibrating. So make sure you get your bolts nice and tight, and then we'll look at this from a couple different angles, and we'll go to the next step. Okay, and now we're going to connect the hoses to the pump. The hose to the pump, the hose clamp goes on first, and try to seat that hose as far back as you can till the bottom of the hose is flush with the housing. And then there's a black ring that you can see through the hose. Get the clamp over that because there's like a rubber bushing piece there on the inside. And make sure you tighten that clamp as tight as possible, which I did not. I don't know where I went wrong at here, but I tightened it. I got it snug, but once I started it, a lot of pressure in that hose, and it blew off. And when it blew off, that fluid went everywhere. And also that fluid is flammable. So it got up on the motor, on the exhaust, and there was a couple puffs of flame and smoke, but it went out. But now when I use it, I keep a 5-gallon bucket of water close by, so if it ever happens again, my machine won't burn up. And this hose here, when you remove that plastic wrap around the end of it, the connector, that's from the ram, and it has fluid in it, and fluid kind of ran out, got on that, so it was kind of slick to handle. So you can wear gloves or just be prepared for that. And also, when you put these connectors together, they should go on fairly easy as far as twisting on. There shouldn't be like a lot of resistance. If it is, back it off and then finger tighten it again. It should go on kind of smooth, because you don't want to strip that connection, that hose or that pump connector where it goes on at. So and get your connection snug, really snug with the wrench. Now this connection here, this is the one from the lever. When you remove this wrapping, it also has fluid kind of in it some kind of way, somewhere. But when you take that plastic wrap off, it gets hard to grip. So some fluid's going to come out, it's going to get on the end of the hose and on the connector itself, and it makes it hard to get a hold of it. And that hose is short, and that space that I'm working in is really tight. So, and it's hard to get leverage with your fingers. So what I did, I used 2 crescent wrenches to hold it in place, or a crescent wrench to hold the connector in place while I finger tighten the connection, or that bolt, that connector that went in there. And then once I got it finger tight, then I used the wrenches to tighten it up. And on this lever install, to save you a little trouble, there's a big hole and a small hole, and a big pin and a little pin. Just match those pins up, a short pin. Just kind of match those pins up first before you put them in and put in the cotter pin. Just save a little time and a little bit of confusion. One is short, one is a little longer. So just take your time and you should be good to go. Okay, no specific order. I'm going to run through some things that a noob would do. First of all, there's a switch on the side of the motor that's kind of on the inside between the splitting plate and the pull handle. There's a switch, on-off switch. If that switch is off, no matter how much you pull it, it is not going to start. If you prime it, if you spray startup fluid in it, check the gas, oil, whatever, you can pull it forever. It's not going to start. And that's what I did. I forgot about that switch, wasn't aware of it, pulled and pulled and pulled, starter fluid, pull, wouldn't start. Now I'm thinking, oh my God, I got a bad unit. I gotta take it apart, I gotta send it back, gotta call the support. Well, no, it's my fault. I didn't turn that switch on. And once you turn the switch on and I flooded it and let the gas run out of it, it cranks right up. First pull every time. Never had a problem with it after that. Also, make sure your connections are tight. Once you run it for a little while, come back, retighten your bolts. Any bolts you can reach and get, retighten them, because that first run, it seems bolts want to come loose. So just go back and recheck, retighten your bolts. Hose connections. Once it runs, tighten those hose clamps, because there's a lot of pressure, it'll blow off. Also, while it's running, in the reservoir part on the build plate, do not open that cap for any circumstances while it's running. Lots of pressure. It will blow off. I'm talking about poof, like a champagne bottle type blow off. I did that and I had to stop it real quick. And also, once you run it, a lot of air in the lines, so that fluid level will drop. The fluid will look real foamy. Run it, let it sit a minute, then open it, and then top it off with fluid. Run it, and just keep popping it off until that foaminess is out of that clear hose. It's just nothing but fluid. And you're going to see me pulling this thing for a long time, but that was all my fault. It's not like that at all. It cranks right up first time, all the time. Once you turn that switch on, and once you leave it on choke, turn the switch on, pull it, boom, fires right up, cranks right up. And there's also a fuel shutoff switch. Turn that fuel shutoff switch on, and it'll run for you perfectly all the time. Also, while this is functioning, when you hit the return lever to go back, you don't have to hold the lever. Just move it to the rear position, take your hand off it, and then when it gets all the way back, it'll pop up and stop itself. And the ram does fall short, stop short when you're cutting a log or when you're splitting a log, and it leaves the rear part of it kind of attached, doesn't split all the way. So I immediately started thinking there's got to be some way to extend this or some way to make it go a little further. And so I ended up coming up with something. But overall, it works great. Real reliable, starts on the first try. When you shut it off, I would recommend shutting off the fuel and just letting it run out of gas, because that way it won't go up the carburetor. But it's good. I like it. Okay, forgive the noise. I'm by the drag strip in the highway. The ram did not compress all the way to completely split the wood. It did leave it kind of joined. So I made an extension, a Harbor Freight trailer pad, 2-inch piece of pipe. I think this is maybe 4 inches, and an inner diameter 1.5-inch pipe. The way this works is this goes into here. Watch it not working on the camera. Okay, this goes into here, 1.5 inch. This goes on over. I kind of jacked up the holes, so I had to re-drill it. And then this fits over the ram, and the bolt goes in there. And that pushes it all the way to like that far. And I'll come out tomorrow and we'll try it out. Okay, I got lucky. The trailer pad didn't work. It was too big. So I went back to the original disc that came with it. It happened to fit good over that 1.5 inch piece of pipe. It was snug. I didn't have to drill any holes. It just kind of stuck there. So I lucked out. No extra hole drilling. I just tapped it on with a mallet, or with actually a piece of wood, and just cut a few pieces of wood with it, and it worked out great. Pushes the wood all the way through and splits it, and goes back for another one. And that's the end of my review. I think it's a great machine. Just remember, make sure it's on full choke when you start it. Have gas. Use hearing protection and gloves, and shoes, either sneakers or boots. No flip-flops or sandals or Crocs. Long pants. Work gloves. Make sure you have gas. Full choke. Turn the gas on and let it sit like maybe a minute or two. And then just make sure that this switch right in there, make sure it's in the on position, or else you'll be pulling that recoil starter for days. That's in the on position. It started on 1 or 2 pulls, and then when you shut it off, focus. Shut off the fuel first. Oh, and then full choke while you're running it. I mean, full open choke when you're running it. And then when you shut it off, shut off the fuel, and it'll die out. Turn that switch off, and then put that back on full choke. Put that back on full choke, so that way when you start it again, it'll be ready. And other than that, that's it. Any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll get to them if I can. It might take me a day or two. But thanks for watching, and come back and see us. Okay, these are some things that I neglected to show because the battery died or I got tied up doing something else. Okay, when you first put fluid in this and turn it on and start running, right here you see a bunch of foam and a bunch of open area in here, because when you first put together the lines, some of the lines have air in them, don't have fluid in them. So when the pump starts, you'll see this all foamy and like half full of fluid. It'll still function, but you know it's a problem, and the pump sounds kind of funky when it first starts. So shut it off, let it sit a while, and then refill it here. Now, this is what I did or didn't do, and it was off camera because the battery had died. But I saw this while it was running. I opened this, which is the worst thing to do, because it's a lot of pressure here. So you can see it sprayed, and luckily I got the cap back on, and then I shut it off. Also, another thing, come around here, this connector here. On a warm day, this is still difficult to bend, and it also has fluid. Once you unwrap the plastic, has fluid in it, so this gets real slick and slippery. So it's hard to hold and bend in this little area. So what I did, I took another adjustable wrench to hold it here, to hold this as I hand tighten this. And so that's, and it took a lot of force to get this to bend into this little spot here. Another thing, once it does get running and you do push, you push the log through, it only goes this far and it stops. It doesn't push it all the way through and split it. Somebody said, well, that's a defect. That's a defect. Well, I'm not sure if it is or not, but what's worked for me is when this log gets to the end here, I put another log here, start it, and it'll finish cracking this log and then half split the other log. Some logs split all the way, some don't. But you can also buy a piece of pipe and just extend this out. This bolt comes off, nut and bolt comes off. You can get a piece of pipe, extend it out a little bit, and then, put a drill, drill in it, and just have yourself an extension for this if you want to make up this little space here that it falls short. Or you can just take a block of wood, put in here, and so that way it'll push it all the way and break it. Now what you don't want to do is use a brick, as I did here, because under stress the brick will shatter. So you don't want to use bricks or rocks. Other than that, it worked great. It worked great. I split a bunch of wood with it. I split some really heavy chunks right here. Some of these are like I'll say 20, 24 across. So it did really well. And it's pretty small. It's portable. Put it in the back of a medium-sized SUV. And it weighs about 140 pounds maybe. So worked great. I liked it. For the price, can't beat it. And the instructions, I had to I didn't have any in the box. I had to search online and download them, which I did, and I'll put the link on it if I can remember where I got it from. It's Manuals Live or Manual something. Anyways, I'll try to put the link on where I got it from and include it in this video. Other than that, I think it works great and I don't regret buying it at all.